Hey guys, this is Lever Maniac, and finally we are tapping into this one new arc. We're tapping into the orichalcos arc. So there we go. I put it up, of course, as the first deck profile, the deck profile of Yugi Muto. Now, today without the playmat for the first time. Sorry. Today without a playmat because I'm still waiting for the orichalcos playmat to arrive, and then I will be, of course, loading this one up with the background of the orichalcos playmat. Now, this very specific arc is one of my most favorite of all Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it is done so you can say it's made up in the studio. It wasn't part of Katsuki Takahashi's manga, so it's very very creative made, after my opinion, and as a filler arc it has very much the potential to be in a main arc of the Yugi of the first sagas of the Yugi saga, of course. Well, in this specific era, it's going down like this. That now, of course, the 3 Egyptian god cards, you might say, they have been stolen by a kind of sect from Yugi in order to revive or resurrect the great leviathan, which is an old ancient creature of the oricalcos stone, or which carries the oricalcos stone from outer space onto the earth, and it's from a very ancient civilization, namely the civilization which was destroyed in one day and one night, you might say, or is said, or in the reality it's said like this in the essays of Platon. And now, but the king that has inherited that world survived and tried to resurrect the great leviathan. And for that purpose, he needed a lot of energy, of souls on the one hand, and on the other hand, of course, also of monster cards, which they find out very quickly through Professor Hawkins, the grandfather of Rebecca Hawkins, of course, and colleague of the grandfather of Yugi, Solomon Muto, that the Duel Monsters game did not have been invented from the Egyptians, but that it was even from a very much older civilization, namely the civilization of Atlantis. Now, all the main characters get dragged into this arc. For example, even Pegasus, who was one of the most famous villains, you might say, was brought back into that picture. The old king of Atlantis, who tries to resurrect the great Leviathan, has a bunch of squad personals, which he recruited from certain backgrounds, but which have one very specific thing in common, and that is that they are all very capable and able, skillful dual monster players. And one of the main characters of the sagas before was also recruited, which was my Valentine, and she will be also the very one which defeats Pegasus, surprisingly, with a new deck as well as a new power which is inherited from the orichalcos stone. But the orichalcos stone is a very ambivalent thing, because all of those people who wear the orichalcos stone or play the seal of orichalcos, which is the very card that has the same powers, they become suddenly evil, because it unleashes their evil side, or unleashes evil powers within the person, so that the person itself seems to be more powerful than he is before. And Darts, which is the king of Atlantis that I just recently talked about, his name is Darts. He gathered all kinds of rare and in general dual monster cards from the world in order to defeat every deck which comes before of him, and of course also the members of his team should be able to, in order that they be able to defeat everyone which comes before of them. So that's the, you might say, the commencement of the arc, and the first duel which is taking place not with Yami-Yugi, is of course with if I'm not being mistaken, sorry, I have redeemed myself. The first duel is Yami-Yugi against Gurimo. Gurimo is one of the very guys that I was talking about, the team belonging to Darts, the king of Atlantis. And he is dueling himself with Obelisk the Tormentor against Yughi. So it is very difficult, a difficult duel for Yughi, and since he himself doesn't possess any one of the guard cards anymore, henceforth they robbed it from him. He and his team, Gurimo and his team mates, and so he has to duel himself against this one adversary. What can I say about the deck of Yughi in this arc? Yughi is, as well as other of his companions, Joey and Kaiba, have an encounter with the legendary dragons, which are in reality knights that fought against the power of orichalcos and the great leviathan in the old days, and as a result of that they were turned then into dragons. The monster world of the dual monsters link is opened. It's a world which exists in between the dimension of the reality and the reality and this the other world. There was the Dark Magician Knight is the messenger of this world to Yughi, as well as the other ones, companions of him, and he has to bring out the sword from the legendary dragons which were stuck in them. They were frozen and stuck. They were frozen, and a sword was stuck in every one of them. And if you pull that one out, you can't just pull it out if you are the chosen one. It's a little bit like Star Wars. You can just do it if you're the chosen one. And Yughi is chosen from the dragon, or from the destiny, you might say, to bring out Timaeus, the legendary dragon. And so his deck is of course based around also this specific monster card, but also it is introduced to some other two monster cards, such as Kuribo brothers, which are just, besides Kuribo himself, there are 4 other possibilities or types of Kuribo. There are one it's called Kuribi, Kuriba, Kuribu, Kuribe, and all those things, and they even have a combined form or 2 even. One of them is called Kuribabylon, and the other one is called Kuribandit. And so let's start with this deck. Like I already said, Timaeus is one of his significant cards in this arc, which is combined in all sorts of possibilities. One time it is combined in the fusion terms with the Dark Magician, and the first time with the Dark Magician girl. So yeah, it's very significant to see this card, Timaeus. But I have to admit, Timaeus is in the orichalcos arc and spell card as well as monster card. So I have both versions of this card in my deck. Timaeus just came out in the Battle of Chaos display set. The other ones, the other legendary dragons which exist, namely Timaeus, Critias, and Hermos, does not exist as a monster card yet. But I'm looking forward that Konami one day will bring them out also as monster cards. Then he had one of his very since the Duelist Kingdom existing card was the Giant Soldier of Stone with this 2000 defense, of course, a very good defensive measure. Of course, Gazelle, King of the Mythical Beasts, with along with the Baphomet later on, the 3 Alpha, Gamma, and Beta, the Magnet Warriors. Curse of Dragon, which is since the Duelist Kingdom he didn't use that one, but in the duel against Weevil Underwood he plays this one out, as well as of course Gaia the Fierce Knight again, of course his Dark Magician, clearly, of course Jack's Knight, Queen's Knight, and King's Knight, which of course is one of his very signature combinations. The Electromagnetic Turtle and the duel against Raphael was what's played out. As I already said, Kuribo, Kuribe, Kuribai, Kuribi, and Kuribu. And of course the Kuribandit, as I called it also, and I have to search for the other one, Kuribabylon. Also, it is used, he did play out the Catapult Turtle against Raphael, which he misused, you would even say, as the Catapult Turtle has the ability to tribute one of your monsters and then put the half of the original attack of the monster which you just tributed as damage onto your opponent's life points. Then, of course, Baphomet, as I already called it, the obnoxious Celtic Guardian. He had play the Pharaoh. It's very interesting in that arc. Had to play a duel against Yugi because Yugi was captured from the seal of oricalcos. His soul was captured as he, the combined forces of Yugi and the Pharaoh lost against Raphael. Originally, the Pharaoh Atom would have been caught, but in the last second, Yugi gave him yeah, it did hit him from the way that he should be the one who had be caught from the orichalcos seal, and not him. So then the pharaoh was released, and Yugi's soul was captured from the seal of orichalcos and brought onto the great leviathan. Yeah, it is two souls which inherits one body. As you guys might know, that the pharaoh atom as well as Yughi and Yugi's body as souls. So that's just how it works. And of course, the dark magician, which had a very key central role in that arc, as well as monster on the monster card one side, as an actor, which brings the companions as well as Yughi himself in position against the evil powers of the orichalcos seal and adversaries. Adversaries, yeah. Breaker, the magical warrior, which was played out also against Weevil Underwood, very significantly. You guys might maybe just watch that duel. It's very, yeah, it's very intense. Thus, Yughi, or not Yughi, the pharaoh defeats Weevil Underwood with this card. I can't spoil that much. And he's not stopping attacking Weevil Underwood, although his life points are, yeah, already down to 0. Yeah. Then, of course, the Archfiend of Gilfer. I think he had a duel. Atom, the pharaoh, had a duel against Yughi, which is very, yeah, interesting. And then I think he put this card into the graveyard, but I'm not sure. I think so, so that its effect was working out for him good. Buster Blader, of course, another card. And the Black Luster Soldier, of course, the ritual one, but I thought that this was, it would be either way if I now play out this one or the other one. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Of course, Valkyrian, the Magnet Warrior, Big Shield Garner against darts, I think, against darts, and Sangan, which was also played out in the duel from Atom against Yughi. Now that on about his monster cards. Now onto his spell cards. He played out cards of Sanctity. Oh, sorry, guys. Just fall down, but still I will be continuing. A card of Sanctity he played out against Raphael in order to fresh up his hand. Then further on, a Shallow Grave. Of course, in order to get a special summon a monster deep defense position. Set defense. Sort of Revealing Light. Pot of Greed, of course. Monster Reborn. And a card which was just engaged in battle in this saga was the 5-star Dawn, which is engaged and took into battle, as a matter of fact, in order to summon these guys out of here. You might see Kuribu, Kuribi, Kuriba, Kuribu, Kuribay, yeah, these guys. Of course, the Eye of Timaeus, as I already said, in as a spell card. Berserk Soul. I won't explain much about that one because, yeah, you just look at the duel between Weevil Underwood and Yughi. And the Mystical Space Typhoon. Legend of the Heart, which is played out if you have the other two cards as well, namely the Claw of Hermes and Crawl of Critias. Polymerization. Fissure, which was, I think, played out against an orichalcos soldier. Dark Magic Curtain, Magic Formula, Graceful Charity, I think it was against Raphael. Defusion, Card Destruction against Yugi. And there were other cards, I think one with the Dark Magician Girl, but it does not exist as an enemy exclusive card, so I put in that Dark Burn Magic instead. Like I already mentioned, there will be also was Crawl of Critias, which is originally a card which was from Seto Kaiba, and the last duel against Darts he used that one, as well as the Claw of Hermes, which he played out I think 2 times even. I think in the duel against Weevil and also in the last duel against Darts. Now this one now about all of his spell cards. Now the trap cards. He played out, of course, Mirror Force. I don't know in which two guys, and I researched it that he used these. Dark Renewal, Chain Destruction, Rope of Life, Magical Hats, of course, Dust Tornado, in order to, I might imagine that it was in order to try to break the seal of Orichalcos, which was, of course, played out as a magic spell card. Soul Rope, I think in the first duel against Gurimo, and Gravity. Yeah, I think that was all about his trap cards. Now I have even, it is very special for me to have some other cards as well. And in the side deck I put, of course, the legendary Knight of Timaeus, the legendary Knight of Critias, and the legendary Knight of Hermes. And if you guys maybe watch a little bit closer, you might realize that this person is Yugi in a night night dress. This one Kaiba in a night dress, and this one Joey in a night dress. So these cards are in the side deck, of course. And I also have, I don't know where I put it into, but I have the Amulet Dragon somewhere, which is a combination of Timaeus and the Dark Magician, and also the Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, as his second fusion card. And of course I do have, which was also in that arc, I'm sorry, is of course Chimera, the mythical, flying mythical beast. Now he did possess them 3 fusion monster cards. I'm sorry. I was also I had the Amulet Dragon, which I'm lacking. Not in general, but I didn't find it in my collection, so it's somewhere here. Yeah. Now, guys, I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Hit the like and the subscribe button, of course, and stay tuned for more. I will go more, doing more and more and more. And I thought would be very appropriate maybe to, of course, start with not with the villains this time, but with heroes, and then one villain and then one hero, a little bit like ping pong, you know. So the next character deck profile, I'm confident and deliberately want to put up or load down, will be the very one of Gurimo. Yeah, so this was it, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So much for me for today. Your Slifer Maniac. Bye!